Well, remember when I said that Backlash was going to be crucial for SmackDown to get themselves on the map? Well, for Raw, Clash of Champions was going to be that show. It was the first Raw show of the brand extension era, or the new brand extension era, I should say. And unlike SmackDown, who really set the bar high, Raw set the bar incredibly low, and I don't even think they reached the bar. Clash of Champions was just bad. Um, there was a lot of missed chemistry. There were a lot of matches that I, quite frankly, could care less about. Characters that I could care less about. And even the positives on the show were overlooked by all the negative on the show. I mean, Clash of Champions was just bad. And, while SmackDown got themselves off on the right foot, Raw took a completely different turn back in 2016, and sadly they're still recovering to this day. They're still not that much better. They've gotten better, but not that much. But here at Clash of Champions, one thing that astounded me was, why are we still doing a Clash of Champions or a Night of Champions or a pay-per-view with the theme being champions? Because to me, Clash of Champions means every championship is on the line, and while every Raw title is on the line, you still have to include SmackDown. And I think if you were going to add another dual-branded show, maybe bringing back Night of Champions, maybe, or replace something like Battleground with it. I don't know. Just a thought. But back to Clash of Champions. We kicked off with the Raw Tag Team Championship match. The New Day defending against the Club. And again, like I mentioned earlier, there were a lot of matches that lacked chemistry, and this was definitely one of them. To me, it was just way too fast-paced. And it wasn't even fast like, Kofi being the high flyer that he is, and Xavier Woods the same thing. It was just, it felt really rushed. It felt like they were given no time at all, which they weren't. The match didn't even go 7 minutes. And it just felt really like, okay, let's get all our stuff in 7 minutes and move on. And that's sad because these two teams can definitely go. Especially the New Day. The New Day have put on some really damn good matches. And here was just flat. Pretty much a theme on this show. TJ Perkins defeating Brian Kendrick by submission to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. Speaking of things I don't care about, it's the entire Cruiserweight division. In 2016, I didn't care about them. In August of 2017, I still don't care about them. Sorry if you do, but I don't. Cesaro versus Sheamus in the final match of the Best of 7 series. I would have liked to see a decisive winner. I'm sure that as soon as Cesaro and Sheamus break up, which I think should be coming soon, hopefully, I'm pretty sure that they're going to revisit Cesaro versus Sheamus and do like their big final match. But to me, it was like they crammed this Best of 7 series into 3 weeks. They even did, I think, like 1 or 2 matches at house shows. Like, they really tried to rush this as if it meant absolutely nothing. And that there was no real reason why there was a Best of 7 series. There was no real story other than, oh, we got 2 guys, let's just put them together for 7 matches. And it was even more than that. I believe before the Best of 7 series, didn't they have 2 extra matches? So it was technically a Best of 9 series that didn't even end in a decisive way. It ended in a no contest. So you wasted all that month rushing through it, and then when we finally get to this moment where holy crap, something important was going to happen, nothing important happened. Typical WWE. Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn. Speaking of things I don't care about, Sami Zayn But in terms of this match, very botchy, very sloppy, and again, it was just a match that lacked chemistry. And to me, I don't know. Matches should have chemistry. Common sense. This match just didn't. A lot of big moves were botched. I know a lot of you probably love it because it features Jericho and Zayn, two of your favorites. I don't, because I can see bad in front of me, and that match was bad. Sorry, but it was. Charlotte defeating Bayley and Sasha Banks. Now let me get this straight. WrestleMania 32, we had this big triple threat match to determine the new women's champion, because we finally got rid of the Divas belt and replaced it with the women's belt. Excuse me. So we did that. It was a big deal, clearly. And we come back to Clash of Champions months later, and here we are in another triple threat match, except this time you replace Becky Lynch with Bayley, which you would think would make the match mean a little bit more, because there's another competitor in there that wasn't involved in the original triple threat. Bayley back then was a hot character in terms of she was getting very good crowd response. The people genuinely cared for her, unlike today where she doesn't really get a reaction. You would think that they would save this match, and I would have been perfectly fine with saving it for Survivor Series, that they would save this match for a bigger and better show. Instead, they wasted on Clash of Champions, and honestly, thank God they did, because this match was just not good. Again, a problem with these women, especially Charlotte, is that they lack chemistry. And this match was another match that lacked chemistry. Roman Reigns defeating Rusev. I will say this. Roman winning the U.S. title here left me intrigued. I wasn't sure what they were going to do with it, with him as champion, but at the same time, it was just to give Roman something to do, so they did it, whatever. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins, the main event for the Universal Championship. Well, I'll say this. Again, I'm pretty sure you guys all loved it because it featured Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, and they can't possibly screw anything up. Well, the match wasn't bad. It was pretty good, but the whole Jericho stuff at the end, I believe Jericho interfered at the end. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the ending was a little bit overbooked, and I don't know. This match just didn't feel main event worthy to me. It wasn't that bad, but are we really going to say it was great? Even throughout the entire match, like the fact that Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, two of the crowd favorites, and barely a response. That's a problem. And this match was just mediocre. I didn't really find it spectacular like everyone else did. And it kind of left a sour note on this show, kind of put a sour note on the show. And Raw kind of got off on the wrong foot, unlike SmackDown, who got off on the right foot. Raw kind of stumbled out of the gate in this new brand extension era. With this pay-per-view, there was a lot of bad on the show. Some positive, but a whole lot of bad that just completely overshadowed any positive.